So I'm here with Karl Burkart, Digital Campaigns Director for tcktcktck. And first of all, Karl, why don't you tell the viewers at home who tcktcktck are and what they do?
Okay, tcktcktck is an alliance of over 240, I think it's about 240 NGOs, and to clarify, they're not all specifically climate NGOs. It's a huge breadth of different types of concerns, from poverty, Oxfam's a member, labor unions, it's a very broad set of topics, all of which kind of are related to climate. So
and what brings them all together?
Well, the common sort of statement for all these NGOs is that we want a 350 target written into a UN treaty, and the 350 parts per million. So that's pretty much, it's that high level. It's not, we don't drill down much farther. So we don't get into politics, we're not lobbying, we're really an aggregator of the movement in all of its sort of different faces.
And what does a director of digital campaigns do?
Well, it's kind of a new area. We have web and mobile tools now that we can really help visualize this movement, because a lot of people, like, the movement is so massive. I mean, it's like thousands of organizations, it's really like hundreds of millions of people, but you can't see it yet. You know, it's like you can't visualize it as one whole. So my role in digital campaigning is to help make that visualization happen. So people can actually see what people are doing, how they can get involved, how they can take action, and actually meet people that are interested in the same types of things. So it's really, my goal is going to be to help really pull together the movement so the larger public really understands it, and understands like that climate is not just a sort of like a wonky political or environmental issue, but it really affects like hundreds of millions of people in thousands of different ways. And so we all do sort of loosely fit under this one umbrella.
We arrived here on Sunday, the OneClimate team, and the first thing we managed to film actually was the unveiling of the Pyramid of Hope. Did you have anything to do with that?
Not too much, except that it's funny because we were working on a digital project called Mosaic Earth, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a little bit. But on a parallel track, Paul Horstman, who's our physical campaign director, if you want to call me the digital campaign director, he was working on this pyramid concept because we're here in Mexico, and in China at the Intersessional UN meeting there was a bunch of discussion about the building blocks, and like it's not just one simple treaty, it's actually a set of treaties which are these different building blocks. And so they came up with this idea of building a pyramid, and it was actually right around the same time we were working on the mosaic in the digital world. So it's sort of an interesting correlation because it's really like the physical equivalent to what we were trying to do on Mosaic Earth, and the pyramid is actually made up of images from our organizations that sent in all these different messages that they wanted the UN delegates to see and hear. So there's screens embedded in the pyramid, and actually it's showing different messages.
When we were there, the screens weren't embedded yet. It was still very low key.
As you know, we've had some digital
issues.
Hurdles.
Hurdles is a good word. So yes, you brought us very nicely to Mosaic Earth. So why don't you tell us about that a bit?
Yeah. So the pyramid is very physically here. The Mosaic Earth is very much living in the digital world, and it's an interactive object. So it's this new technology that actually our OneClimate friends helped pioneer an interface for, and it's basically allows people to upload images and videos both. And then this algorithm actually selects the color and places it on a larger image. So it's kind of like, we all get to collectively make one big image. And we launched with the Earth because we just felt like, it's been 40 years since the movement really started. And it started when we first saw the Earth from space. When that first photograph was taken, really right around that time, the movement was born, the environmental movement. And as we now know, the environmental movement is now converging with the social justice movement around climate change. So it was kind of a, let's revisit this image 40 years later in the digital world, and instead of it being made from one astronaut taking one picture, it's actually made from thousands and thousands of people uploading images.
Wow, that's a really brilliant idea. And how have you found the response from people, and how varied is the scope of the response?
It's been pretty cool. I mean, we just launched it, and we launched it in conjunction with the HRH Prince of Wales, and they have a new film that just came out called Harmony. So we actually launched our mosaic in tandem with the film. So when the film aired, people went to the website afterwards to learn how to take action. So it's been cool. I mean, we've gotten a bunch of hundreds of really cool images, and I'm still going through all of them. And we're going to do upgrades, so the image will keep changing as we get more and more photos. But yeah, people have been loving it. And the cool thing about we made it as a widget, so people you don't have to go to one place. It actually lives on a lot of different websites. And people through the widget can just upload their picture right from their computer or their video. And then on the widget there's like a button like learn how you can make a difference. And when you click, that goes over to our TICK website, which shows all the different actions that our partners are involved in. And we have everything from Oxfam, Sow the Seed, which is a campaign about food, agriculture and food rights, to Save the Tigers, WWF is doing with Leonardo DiCaprio, which is a really big variety of campaigns. So we're hoping that like new people who don't really know much about climate or the environment can still get interested and find a way to get involved. So.
Is that why you chose to go the art route?
Yeah, well the thing is that words, I mean there are some people who are really good at words and they generally write books and or journalists, and it's not it's very hard to convey the complexity of the movement and the complexity of climate change without images. It's just the artist and the image is really for the climate, in particular, the climate movement. It's almost essential to really talk about it because it's such a hard thing to understand, and so the other thing is it's very hard to engage in long text, which is in order to explain climate change, you have to sort of put it all on a big sheet of paper, and most people don't want to get through that, even people who are interested. So we're trying to get like a way for people to dip their toes in that's kind of ooh-ah a little bit, and then through that
do you think the delegates should start using pictures to write up the...
That's a good idea. If only pictures were in that document, that would be amazing. Yeah,
maybe that could be your next project.
We need a lot more images, yeah, exactly. I like that idea.
Yeah, so do you see art being a regular feature of your work as a digital campaigns manager, and do you see it filtering into more of what NGOs will be doing over the next few years?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that Greenpeace has been done a great example of really creative video that's really art pieces essentially. And the cool thing about them is that a lot of people don't like being preached to. They don't want to be lectured at. So the good thing about art is that you can just relate to it as beauty or as something that you can hate it or like it, but you get to have an immediate reaction to it that's not here.
Yes.
So it kind of bypasses all of the issues like, oh yeah, my dad says global warming doesn't exist, and you get to just look at an image and react to it, and that reaction is an opening to go a little step further and say, okay, well, what does that mean? And maybe the reaction's not going to happen for 5 years. But I really a strong believer that letting people have contact with these images will get people more engaged than we've had them before. So yeah, and in fact the original idea for the mosaic was to find an artist, and we talked to a bunch of different artists about actually creating an original work of art that people could attach their faces to. And I think we may do something like that in 2011 as a sneak peek, so I won't tell you any more information, but the whole idea was just getting artists involved, both in 3-dimensional and 2-dimensional.
Great. Well, good luck with all of that, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your stay in Cancun.
Yeah.
And thank you very much for dropping by, and we'll go back to the studio.
Thank you.